Hey YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a different minority in Italy. For once, we're not talking about black people. Today, we're going to be talking about Asians, specifically being Asian in Italy. In Italy, blacks are probably like the smaller minority, maybe smallest. And then one of the largest are Asians. Specifically, there are a lot of Chinese and Filipinos. And so today, I'm so lucky because I got such diverse friends. Here I have my Chinese friend Juliana and my Filipino friend Micah. We're going to be talking to you guys today about their experiences growing up Asian in Italy. Faremo questo video in inglese, ma volete che sapete che loro sono italiani, giuro. Anche Barbara era... No, perché aveva un'amica che ha fatto afro-italiano versus afro-americani. Ma sì, e lei ha i genitori nigeriani, quindi è tipo madrelingua inglese sia madrelingua italiana. Quindi abbiamo fatto il video in inglese. E dato che il suo inglese è così perfetto e la maggior parte dei suoi video sono in inglese, tutti pensano che non era italiano. Ma voi dite qualcosa.
Sì, siamo italiani.
Esatto, italianissime. Quindi, anche se faremo questo video in inglese per farlo più facile per me, quando vengono ai sottotitoli, sì, sono italiana. Iniziamo da quella più facile. What are some stereotypes that Italians have about Asians? Let's talk about first the Chinese stereotypes.
Chinese people eat dogs and cats.
Oh,
The really classic, the most famous one. And it's not true. It was true in the past when China was really poor and there were a lot of poor families. They couldn't afford like money and everything, so like they resorted to eating the...
It's really interesting because I could have swore the same thing happened here. Like I read somewhere that after the war there was this town in like Venice or in Veneto, and they were so like hungry that they ate their dogs too. So
exactly. But the stereotype, I don't know why it survived until now, and people still say that we eat dogs and cats and all this stuff, but it's not true. It's not true for the most part because now China is like rich enough, and most families are rich enough to afford food and everything. But I think that there might be some parts which are a lot poorer than the usual Chinese middle class. So they might eat, but it's not really a popular thing to do. They see this as something bad.
I never really understood judging Chinese people for that anyways. Personally, I didn't know whether it was true or not, but I just didn't care because everybody has weird foods. I mean, I thought it was weird that in Italy they have horse meat. In France they eat like snails. I know in some South American country they eat like guinea pigs.
Filipinos eat frogs.
Okay, so do the French. The French eat everything, you guys. So I never really, even if in some like way the Chinese did eat dogs, I never really saw it as something
actually, like if it's for survival I would understand, because who wouldn't do it?
Exactly.
There are also the fact that when I speak in Italian, like my family has a family shop, and when I speak Italian to my Italian customers, they get all surprised because like they always say, oh, but I never met a Chinese person who speaks Italian so well, and I'm kind of left awkward because I don't know.
Plot twist. I'm Italian.
Exactly.
Stereotypes. Filipinos are known as caregivers. Even in America, I guess. Yeah, because some people think that Filipinos are so good at cleaning houses, but I'm so pissed off when I hear this, because sometimes they think that Filipinos are only good at do some domestic works, and actually Filipinos have lots of talents and hobbies that they can do even more than that. But I don't think that in the Italian community this is not shown. So this is I think a bad side of
of course. Not necessarily that Africans are seen as like domestic workers. We all know that they're more seen as like prostitutes and stuff. But aside from that, I always thought, okay, what happens one day when I have like kids here? I always thought, what happens if I have them with like a white Italian, and so they come out looking like half black, half white, but they see me with the stroller and they just assume I'm the Tata. I would get so freaking offended.
No.
I've already said that I'm gonna go out of my way. If I have a Tata, sorry, but she's gonna be white. Gotta keep the equality. She's gonna be like German or Polish or something. Gotta keep the equality.
Yeah, we're all the same anyway.
Yeah, but I guess I saw that. I had another Filipino friend from university that told me the same thing. And I also noticed, like, I know that in Asian communities too, there's even a bit of colorism, like in the States, where like if you're lighter and more European looking, it's like better for you, and if you're darker and like more Asian looking, it's not as good. And so she was half Italian, so she even like, she looked Italian, she didn't really look Asian. But even with her, like the second she told people she was Filipino, they would always make like jokes like, oh, can you come clean my house? Do you know anybody that can, yeah. And I'm like, who are you friends with, girl? How do you see the community, the Asian community in Italy, Nel Senso? Is it really integrated? Is it more separated? First we can talk about like the Chinese and then Filipino again.
Yeah, the Chinese community in general is really isolated from the rest of the Italian society. When our parents came here, they were the first generation of Chinese people here. So like when they came here, they didn't know the Italian language. They only knew the Chinese one, and they struggled to find jobs and everything, because of the language barrier. You can say that it's isolated because of that, and also because of the fact that when we stay together, I personally think that when we stay together between Chinese people, like we feel more at home, because China and Italy are really like different and also far from each other. Like we don't get many chances to go back to our countries. So like we stay together to feel more at home and with our connections and everything.
It makes sense.
Yeah, same thing with Filipinos. But and sometimes when a Filipino does something, all the Filipinos do the same thing. For example, pascucci. When someone goes to pascucci, everyone goes to pascucci.
It's interesting. I'm not even Italian, but there are some like Filipino things that I guess I've understood. Like, I guess Filipinos are all amazing dancers.
Well,
she's a dancer. An amazing dancer. That a lot of Filipinos are pretty religious.
Yes, true.
I guess another thing that I would ask is, how would your parents like feel? Are your parents open to you guys like dating Italians or?
Regarding dating, well, I think Asian parents are more strict. Are very strict. And regarding Italian boyfriends, well, my parents are open-minded about that. Yeah.
Do you think in general Filipinos are?
Yeah, I think so, because their children were born here and then they grew up here, so they're like an Italian. They have an Italian mind and they think about it. But I don't think Chinese parents.
No, Chinese parents are like, my parents are a lot more strict and conservative, so they would rather for me to marry a Chinese person rather than one of another country, because we Chinese people have I would not say special, because every culture is special, but regarding marriage and everything, we all have strange things to do for seeing dates and everything. And when we marry, we have a lot of things to do. Because of that, when we date someone that's not Chinese, or we marry someone that's not Chinese, it's really difficult to arrange the marriage and everything, because like we have a lot of things to do as Chinese, and it's easier if we are like both the male and female are Chinese, so like it's easier. My parents would rather that I would date a Chinese guy, but I don't think they really care. It's just a matter of this, like doing this stuff or not, and yeah.
Makes
That's
sense. I had another friend from university who was also like of Chinese descent. It was actually really funny because one time I went to her house to study and her mom was coming to visit her that same weekend, and like when her mom like rang the door, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet this like Chinese mom. But then she came and she was like, see, and she had like all the food that she brought from the town, and then when she was giving her daughter the food, she started cleaning the whole house. And I was like, questa è una mamma italiana. And but even she was telling me that her dad, when she went to Bocconi, he was like, yeah, so now you can find yourself a nice Chinese husband. I mean, an Italian va bene anche, but Chinese would be good.
Like, no pressure, but Chinese.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you feel Italians treat your group? Have you seen a lot of racism from Italians versus Chinese or versus Filipino? And was it hard growing up here?
I would not say that they were like I felt racist against me, because the Italian community, I think that the Italian society is more open, I guess. I don't feel like so discriminated by Italians in general, but sometimes it's just there. It's there, but you feel it sometimes, but not all the time. Especially when I was smaller, when I was a child. I don't know if it's just a children's thing or not, but I was like, I didn't also know how to speak Italian and everything. But when I was a child, I used to play all by myself because my Italian classmates wouldn't want to play with me. But when you grow up, you begin to understand some things, and I guess they did. Hopefully. In general, we don't I personally don't feel so discriminated, as I said, because I'm Italian. I feel Italian, but I feel Italian and also Chinese, but I feel more Italian. And when people see you speaking in Italian just fluently without any problems, they would begin to treat you better, because you can talk to them, you can explain them what your culture is. You can understand
each other, right?
Exactly.
Right.
In general, Italian people, especially the young ones, are more open than the
friends.
older ones.
Yeah.
Did you have a similar experience with the Filipinos? Did you have a good childhood growing up?
Well, personally, when I was a kid, I used to have only Italian friends. But then when I grew up, I used to know more about my culture and everything, and I met new friends, new people, new Filipino friends. And personally, when I'm alone and I had to hang out with my Italian friends, or I have to do an interview for a job, I feel so inferior, because when you're not in your own country and you're in another one, you feel like you're not at home. You're not feel welcome. But this is just Asian's mind, I guess. But
because you're Italian and it is your own country.
I am Italian. It's my country. But there's this side of me that, I think I'm half Asian and half Italian, and I love my country, I love my family, and sometimes I don't feel at home here because I feel so inferior. So when I'm with my friends, with my Filipino friends, I feel at home. I feel like I will always find a family. But sometimes when, for example, at Garibaldi, you probably see some dancer there. Some Italians think that they're not doing anything. They will just drink all night, and I have this thought that Filipinos are not just dancers or alcoholics. They are just like Italian people.
It's just a personal thing, because when I've always grown up here, I was born here, I grew up here, I studied here, and it's a personal thing, because I feel like I lost a lot of my Chinese part here, because especially the language, because most of the time I speak in Italian, and I talk to my friends in Italian, and when I go home I speak with my family in not in the standard Chinese, the Mandarin Chinese, but in a dialect. So it's like the language is a huge part of a country's culture, and losing it, it's like something that makes me feel kind of awkward with my Chinese friends, because it's part of you, the language, it's part of you. So when you, like, for example, when I go back in China, I can't really speak fluently in Chinese. It makes me feel awkward, and it makes me feel like I failed in something. I failed in maintaining my own traditions, my culture, and everything. So it makes me feel like sad about it.
I actually guess I wanted to ask that if you guys thought that growing up in a society like Italy, which is, I feel like, okay, whereas in America, like I said, people come from everywhere. So we take everything and we like put it together. Whereas in Italy, there is an Italian way, and everybody that comes has to adapt to that Italian way. And I guess it could make some kind of like identity issues. Did you guys experience that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I never really felt at odd with who I am. I mean, I always knew my dad's Nigerian, my mom is Jamaican. I would always say proudly, like, I'm Nigerian Jamaican, but then at the same time, even though I was really comfortable with my parents' cultures, I never felt any less American. I always felt, as a matter of fact, that being diverse, being from somewhere else, is being American, because we're all from everywhere. So, I guess that is one major difference, I think, between growing up from any foreign parents in America versus growing up with any foreign parents in Italy, is you can really be like, have some internal struggles in terms of the culture.
I usually go to the Philippines once a year, and I think Asians' behavior is so different.
Of course, I can imagine.
So different. They are so polite with each other, and even with parents. And sometimes I hear my classmates or my friends talking with their parents, and they're sometimes rush. And so, whereas when I talk with my parents, I have to be polite.
That's so interesting, because honestly, we say the same thing in America. Like, immigrants versus American kids. Even if we're just talking about just the Black community, all of us Black kids that had immigrant parents would always say that the African Americans could just like get away with anything, do anything they want, talk to their parents any way they want.
It's more like,
and whereas the immigrants, I think it's just a thing, because if your parents left your country, especially if their country was in like if they left a hard situation in their country to go to another country in search of opportunities, I think we as kids know that they made that huge sacrifice. We know that everything is like really hard for them, and we know that we have to work that much harder so that their sacrifice was worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's also probably why parents are super strict, super protective, because their kids are pretty much their legacy. Yeah. So I mean, I learned some stuff today. I hope that my subscribers learned some stuff today. What do you guys think about what Juliana and Micah said? I know that some of you guys are Asian. I know I have a lot of Filipino followers. A lot of y'all. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Wanna tell us a little bit about your experience growing up in Asian? Did anything in this video like shock you? Are you surprised that Asians are one of the biggest minorities in Italy? And were you surprised by like anything that was said? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Let's have a discussion as always. Thank you, Juliana, and thank you, Micah, for coming on my channel and sharing your stories. And like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Mwah.